Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater. Today, of course, is the 17th of August 2020. It's Monday. It's hot. It's a few days away from DC fandom, and a lot of people are excited. It's been the talk of the town, if you will, over the course of the past weekend. A lot of people are very excited to see what's going to be coming from DC fandom this weekend. And while I took a look at the schedule last week and I talked about it on Friday, there's things I want to see, and there's things I'm more excited to see than other. But really, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a fun experience, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I can't wait to sit at home on my ass all day Saturday waiting to see what happens next. It's going to be like going to Comic-Con without having to fight the crowds, and I won't have to actually put on pants since none of you are going to see below this section right here. You might get a little bit of that hard nip action because seeing what they show off from Snyder Cut's going to be amazing, and other than that, nothing. You get nothing, you dirty heathens. You have to sign up for my OnlyFans if you want to get access to what's below what's below the bust, or just below the bust. There we go. If you want to see an OnlyFans, let me know down in the comment section. I'm totally kidding, but I do want to hear your thoughts on this one. All right. So a couple things I do want to touch upon first. What we have, again, is a bit of a structural change here on the channel due to the fact I picked up a third job. So there's that. Things are going to be changing. I'm going to be trying to spend more time working on these longer form news videos, which was well received this past week, which is awesome. I also put up a long in-depth review of episode 1 of Lovecraft Country. So if you saw episode 1 Sundown last night and you want to get my take on it as well as add your take to the conversation, you can find that on the channel. I thought the episode was great. I thought the episode was awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. Another thing that I want to do, just because of where we find ourselves with Hollywood right now, where we find ourselves with movies and what's going on, is I want to spend a bit more time diving into my Blu-rays. I've actually got like bins and bins and bins of unopened movies that I've purchased over the last couple years that I've just never done anything with. And I think now is kind of the time to explore those, right? To kind of go back into my collection, or at least to review some new ones that are coming out and things like that. And one of the things I wanted to do first was I wanted to finally open up this bad boy right here. I picked up the Alien 40th Anniversary Edition a while back, 4K, and I haven't opened it yet. As you guys can see, it's still in the shiny. So I do want to check this thing out. I have my Xbox One X hooked up to my computer, able to watch it. I want to go through the special features, and I want to talk about it. Now, granted, this disc is old. This movie's been out for a while, so any kind of review I do isn't going to get much in regards to traction, but I had a lot of fun doing Blu-ray therapy a couple weeks ago, and I want to go back and do another episode, and I want to talk more about these movies and then just spend more time talking about movies. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on as we go forward, and I just hope you guys want to check it out. So more reviews, the news will be condensed into this. Maybe there will be a standalone section or a thought on something if I have a good poignant thought. And of course, for those of you out there who really do like Hollywood After Dark, don't worry, it's coming back. We're just going to schedule a time and a place to do it. It won't be an every night thing. And I think a big reason for that is, one, news is slowed down right now. And I've also decided to take on another bit of a project over on my other YouTube channel, Matt Jarbo Talks. That's Boulder Talk Radio. And this is kind of like Hollywood After Dark. It is a call-in show. It's strictly call-in, maybe a little bit of news discussion in the beginning, but mostly it's strictly call-in. And again, it's open topics, and we can have discussions. I was doing that with Hollywood After Dark, and it's fun, but I felt it wasn't really the place to discuss politics or other news stories. I wanted to keep that movie centric. So Boulder Talk Radio is over on the other channel, and that's going to be open for practically everything within, some certain reasons. And I'm sure you guys can think of what those are going to be, but it's very not safe for work. It's very after dark, and it's meant to be that kind of call-in show. So again, that's what's going on with that. So why don't we talk about the news of the day? Because the biggest news of the day, planes, trains, and automobiles, is going to be coming from Will Effin Smith and, of course, Kevin Hart. And I'm not going to lie when I say this, guys. Nothing about this intrigues me. Nothing about this makes me happy. This, to me, comes across as one of the stupidest things that Hollywood has come up with for a while. It shows you that originality is dead. It shows you that there's no real thought process for these kind of properties. Because guess what? Back in 2011, or no, 2010, Todd Phillips, coming off of the success of Hangover, did Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, and it was the exact same story, and everyone criticized it for being the exact same story. Then again, Hangover Part 2 came a year later, and that was kind of the exact same story as Hangover Part 1, maybe showing us that Todd Phillips has a few things to work out, although the Joker was pretty fantastic. So let's find out what we know here. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles gets Paramount Pictures remake with Will Smith and Kevin Hart starring. Thankfully, this is the thing. On the internet right now, no one is agreeing with this. No one is happy with this whatsoever. It says Paramount Pictures has set a remake of the classic John Hughes 1987 road trip comedy Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as a star vehicle for Will Smith and Kevin Hart. Hart's Heartbeat Productions and Smith's Westbrook Studios will produce. In her feature debut, Aisha Carr will write the script. Her TV credits include Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the upcoming Hulu series Woke. Not saying that this movie is going to be woke, but you guys know the kind of people that are going to attack this for being like that. This is the thing with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It was an R-rated movie with a lot of crude humor and great performances from John Candy and Steve Martin. I mean, it's described here as a mismatched duo forced to become bunkmates and traveling partners in a desperate attempt to get home to loved ones for Thanksgiving after their flights are canceled. A slew of holiday travel disasters follow, and they mix like water and oil. Hart and Smith produced. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it seems kind of dumb. Now, the granted deadline here is kind of backing it up. They're saying this film seems like an ideal one for the new version from Paramount. It was very funny, but writer-director Hughes made it exceptionally touching considering the high concept road trip premise. He caught two superb physical comic actors at the peak of their powers, and yeah, that was it. John Candy was dead about 6 years later. Steve Martin is still Steve Martin, but he's not doing as much. That movie is kind of has them both at the pinnacle of their career. But I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it. Like, I know Paramount is also doing Coming to America 2, and I'm fine with that because Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall are back, as well as a lot of other people are going to be involved, and I'm okay to see that. Like, they're doing another Beverly Hills Cop because that's Eddie Murphy is coming back to do Beverly Hills Cop 4 for Netflix, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun too. I'm very excited to see what's going to be happening on that one. But when you sit there and you cannot take this, oh my God, this stuff fails when you push this kind of crap. Like, just call it literally anything else. Call it anything else. Don't call it freaking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Anything else is all you need to have. And I think at the end of the day, people will be happy if you call it anything else. No one is on board with this remake. And this is really short-sighted from Will Smith and Kevin Hart, who both seem to be rather savvy in regards to this kind of thing. And they should know better, but I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Kevin Hart, like, I don't know, does he need a win at this point? Will Smith has got, he's got Bad Boys 4. 3 did really well. Bad Boys 4 is on the horizon. His career is kind of finding this later career resurgence after a couple flops like Gemini Man, and things seem to be coming back his way. What the hell's going on? Like, how did they go, this is a good idea, let's remake a John Hughes movie? No, you don't do that. That's really dumb. But as always, I want to hear your guys' thoughts about this because I sure as hell ain't happy about it. And this next story here, this is interesting because Warner's is apparently only going to release Tenet in theaters who require masks. And that is something that, again, a lot of people I think are going to be talking about because some theaters are enforcing it. Other theaters aren't enforcing it. Worldwide, there is quite literally like no way certain places are going to enforce it ever. It's going to be up to the people to do. But really, it's like, okay, they need money. I get that. And so this is kind of their way around it. So this is what it says here. Tenet is finally coming to theaters, but with a catch. Warner Brothers Pictures will only let theaters screen the film if they adhere to proper health protocols. These protocols were drafted by the National Association of Theater Owners. Okay, so it's only here in the States. It's not going to happen overseas. So yeah, anyone international, you guys, they won't abide by this. Of course, rules for thee, but not for me sort of thing. So in a document titled The NATO Proposed Health and Safety Guidelines, under these guidelines, as well as federal laws, moviegoers must wear face covering while inside the theater. Other protocols include daily symptom and or temperature checks for employees, as well as disinfecting auditoriums between screenings and staggering screenings to enforce social distancing. Yeah, they're going to be doing that too. And so apparently Warner's sent out a further email saying these special terms are being offered to exhibitor customers specifically for Tenet to address the special circumstances in the market, including the high commercial risk from uncertain consumer demand, reopening rules, health and safety regulations, and socially distancing capacity issues. Now, other demands that they've put out here, and this is where it gets wild, and I think this is actually the bigger story. I don't know why Comic Book didn't lead with this, but they're saying that other demands are including maximum theater marketing directing to publicize Tenet at no extra cost to the studio. So, okay. And they're also asking for 63% take home, and that is quite a bit. So the theaters play at least 3 trailers for their upcoming movies in front of it, like Wonder Woman, and I don't know what else they've got coming down the pipeline, but Warner's always has something. Tickets for the film will go on sale August 21st, so Friday, right before DC Fandom, and the sneak previews for the film will start on August 31st. And so they are really, 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 really needing this movie to do well. One of the rumors I heard a while back, and I haven't heard it corroborated by quite literally anybody else, is that Tenet somehow needs approximately $800 million to get freaking, to break even. And so that's why one of the reasons why they want 63%. I mean, movie theaters are already getting squeezed as it is right now. And so they're taking more money. They're going to have fewer showtimes probably in the daytime, or fewer people at the showtimes, meaning less money coming on in. So Warner's definitely wants its cut. I just don't necessarily see how they're going to be able to get themselves past this. It just, to me, feels like there's a lot of problems with it. So we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. But the next thing I want to talk about here is AMC is finally taking reserve seating seriously. Over the weekend, there was a big controversy surrounding this in regards to social distancing in movie theaters. It wasn't predetermined seats. It was kind of like people could just, it was more like an honor system, I think. But apparently now, according to Variety here, and this article just came out today, what we're seeing is there's going to be, they will block out spaces. So AMC Theaters is not going to ignore its social distancing guidelines and force strangers to sit next to each other when the cinema chain reopens. Again, that was something that was being passed around online, saying that that was a mistaken assumption that gained traction on social media when it was revealed that AMC was allowing patrons to buy tickets next to seats that had already been reserved. There's a reason for that apparent disregard of the 6 feet apart rule. AMC's ticketing engine will automatically block out one seat on either side of every party beginning on Monday, but the technology was not in place when the tickets first started going on sale last week. That this kind of seems like AMC in a nutshell at this point. Oh, the tickets, yeah, they weren't going on at all. They were, AMC just seems to be, they seem to be failing just at everything, in my opinion. But they are apparently only opening 100 locations on Thursday, but they will only allow auditoriums to be at 30% capacity, which means 70% of the seats will be left during any showtime, which will leave more than enough room between patients, which is absolutely true. Again, kind of talking about like that Tenet issue, that Tenet story. This is one of the reasons why Warner's wants more cash. Is like we're 30% capacity is very little. It's very, very little. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going on. But they only want the 63% for for Tenet. Other movies are going to get a lot less of a deal. So they're hoping to kind of rebuild trust. But I think people are going to rush out to go see Tenet. I know I'm going to go see Tenet. Now, there was never any intention to force perfect strangers to sit next to a seat that had previously been reserved for somebody else. In fact, guests will be mandated to engage in social distancing to keep auditoriums free from COVID. It may mean, however, that there will be rare circumstances where guests do not end up in the seat they selected online. Actually, I think that's probably going to happen pretty often. If you have a family of 6 that are going to go see a movie, that should just literally be a row, and then everyone can just kind of figure it out. But what you're asking in certain areas, what you're dealing with here is a place where people are not going to want to share. And you have certain people that go to certain movies and they go, I want to sit in that seat right there. That's my seat. That's where I always sit. And I'm going to do it come hell or high water. And I'm not going to move myself because you didn't plan properly. And you're going to get a bit of that. That's going to happen. So I think we're going to be seeing a fair amount of that going forward. And it's going to be very interesting to see if any kind of fights take place from inside any of this stuff. We're gonna have to wait and see. So, okay, let me go on to the next story here. I don't have a little tag for it. Actually, hold on. I did, but it didn't save. Uh, there we go. This is okay, there we go. That's the one I wanted to cover there. Let's talk about Jensen Ackles joining The Boys season 3. This decided to pop up today. Literally, as I was prepping this, everyone's like, "Are you going to talk about The Boys season 3?" Well, here's the thing: I haven't seen The Boys season 2, and one of the things I'd like to do as we get closer to the release of that show, which is just in a couple weeks, is start a rewatch of the first season and then do videos talking about it, and maybe get some of my friends who may want to come on, and we kind of do like these post discussions that would allow you guys to then watch it, join in on the conversation as well as we get ready to watch and review season 2. I think building a community around some of these shows is going to be a lot of fun. That's one of the reasons why I put the work into doing this review for Lovecraft Country, because it's freaking awesome. And I think a lot of people are going to get a kick out of it. And I think that's where we're going to get a lot of that community stuff right now. And The Boys season 2, the way that they are spacing it out, I think is going to work really well for building a community. So let's find out more here about that. So Supernatural star Jensen Ackles is jumping from one Eric Kripke show to another. The actor is joining the cast of The Boys in its third season, they announced today, saying, I keep wondering what they'll do when CW Supernatural finally ends this year. Ackles wrote on Instagram, then it hit me. Ackles will portray Soldier Boy, aka the original superhero in the drama. After Soldier Boy fought in World War II, he became the first super celebrity and a mainstay of American culture for decades. So this is like the Captain America. If Homelander is like the Superman, then Soldier Boy is the Captain America of this particular universe. And I can only imagine how a person who fought in World War II and spent decades still staying alive after that is going to be as depraved and terrible as the rest of the seven. So I'm really kind of curious to see what's going to happen here. Let's see. Eric Kripke writes in a statement, when I was a child, I had a crazy, impossible dream to provide Jensen Ackles with gainful employment. I'm happy to say that this dream has come true. Jensen is an amazing actor, an even better person, and smells like warm chocolate chip cookies, and I consider him a brother. As Soldier Boy, the very first superhero, he'll bring so much humor, pathos, and danger to the role. I can't wait to be on set with him again and bring a bit of the supernatural to The Boys. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun, because The Boys is that show where it just came out of left field last year and so many people loved it. So many people got into it. The fact that it deconstructed superheroes as violent, sociopathic, narcissistic, drug-addled monsters that are completely controlled by social media and movies and brand deals and money, and it's all corporatized. It was such an interesting and refreshing take on the genre, and one that I think a lot of people have really kind of fallen in love with, if I dare say, after something like Man of Steel and BVS, which also turned the genres on their ear but kept them very contained to their own universe. This one, on the other hand, is very satirical, very violent, and they play into it all the time. So I'm looking forward to see how Jensen Ackles goes up against Homelander, as well as everyone else, including Billy the Butcher. And quite frankly, I think Boys season 2 is going to be a lot of fun. I have talked to someone who has been watching season 2. I don't know how much of the show he has watched, but it's definitely been a couple episodes. And he was telling me that the show is more insane than the first season, and that we're in for one hell of a treat when it drops in just a couple weeks. So again, if you guys want to do watch parties and do post discussions going through leading into the release of season 2, then by all means, let me know down in the comments section. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I think it's going to be just one hell of a show. And quite frankly, I can't wait to dive in. So I do want to talk about really quick. There we go. This is one that popped up today, like a last minute addition. It's not the final story, but it's a last minute addition to what I was when I was prepping today's show. And this kind of bothers me a little bit. Thrawn in live action kind of confirmed. It's not that Thrawn being in live action is confirming it. It's quite literally the people involved. So let's talk about this here. According to LRM Online. All right. So you've got Joseph Jammer Medina here, writes an article, Scoop corroborated, Admiral Thrawn headed to live action. Now, Joseph Jammer Medina here is one of those guys that like looks to see what people are saying, what the scoopsters are saying, and then he just kind of like writes about it for this website. And that's fine, but he's gotten things wrong before, and he's been, I've called him out before, but he just keeps going because no one else, I'm a small fry, and a lot of people out there aren't going to be pushing back on this. But this is what he's saying here. Admiral Thrawn rumored to appear in live action. Disney has been hard at work with the Star Wars brand for some time. However, with The Mandalorian, they opened up a can of worms for the franchise. What was mostly a film-centric series has suddenly turned into a TV-centric franchise. Not suddenly, dude. There's been tons of TV shows. Rebels, Clone Wars, Resistance, Mando. I mean, like, now they're focusing on it, but it's not to say that there hasn't been Star Wars on television. I mean, go back to the holiday special. That happened in 1978. This has been around for decades. But I think this guy's young, and I don't think he knows all that stuff. Anyway, among our numerous scoops was the reveal that Disney Plus is basing their suite of live action shows on Game of Thrones. What that means is that there'll be one overarching story told from different perspectives, and those perspectives will be told through different shows. Now, that's the first time I'm hearing about that, and I'm not going to lie, does make the nips a little bit hard, because that sounds freaking awesome in my mind. Now, among the different shows we laid out was one focused on Ezra and the fan favorite Grand Admiral Thrawn. I've been hearing about this one for quite some time, so it's definitely one of those things. Now, this is where I have a bit of issue here. We have a fresh scoop from the trusty, and I want to air quote that, trusty Daniel Rickman, which mostly corroborates our own. According to Rickman, Thrawn is coming in live action. Sadly, he didn't have any further details to share with his audience, because he never does. He never does. Daniel Rickman never has any details to share. He literally, at this point, it's been proven, steals scoops. And then he also blackmails people. He blackmailed me, for crying out loud, right? Like, I BTFO'd that shit. I thought it was funnier than hell. But, like, he's not a trustworthy person. And yet, like, no one cares. I don't get it. Based on what we know, Ezra and Thrawn live action is in the cards, even if it wouldn't come until well after the Ahsoka Tano series. And again, we've heard rumors of Ahsoka Tano. We've heard rumors of her getting her series. We've heard rumors of her being in Mando season 2. And we've heard rumors that she's been cast that Rosario Dawson has been cast as her. None of this has been corroborated or confirmed, period, that we know of. All people are saying is that they're hearing about this kind of stuff. And as a result of that, that's where we find ourselves. But no, Daniel Rickman is not a trusty person. Now, of course, I like this here. They have like the default disclaimer. Of course, this isn't a full scoop confirmation. For starters, we're only getting partial corroboration. But up here, it says scoop corroborated, right? Like, that's not clickbait for you right there, right? And that's not clickbait at all. But then again, as soon as the main trades like THR confirm the news, that's to be almost as good as full confirmation. And then, oh, hey, we're gonna look at what Rickman's saying. Whatever, dude. Look, here's the deal with these guys. You got to watch out when it comes to these scoops, because not every scoop is equal, and not every scoop is absolutely going to be something that people are going to be able to corroborate. And so it's one of those things where you have got a lot of people that are just now trying to stay in the media. And that, I'm not lying when I say this, is outright freaking Daniel Rickman. He's trying to stay in the media. I mean, look at Jeremy Conrad. He's doing the same thing. I mean, the only person out there that I feel has got super integrity at this point, despite people trying to smear him constantly, is Mikey Sutton. And I say that as Mikey's friend, full disclosure, but looking around at everything, it's like a lot of these guys are just trying to say whatever they can because they built a literal business about scooping. And since Hollywood is kind of dead at the moment, they are just making crap up, or they are taking it from other people. Just to give you guys a further point on Daniel Rickman, when Andy Signor broke the scoop about the Ahsoka Tano series, Daniel posted it on his Patreon like 2 days later, and then that got picked up by comicbook.com and other trades. We know that he pays attention to what other people are saying, and we know at this point that he is straight up taking stuff. And when he gets backed into a corner, he lashes out. He threatens to blackmail people. He openly talks crap about other scoopers as a way to undermine them, as a way to make himself look more important to get more of that money. So it is something there to consider. Now, on the subject of Thrawn in this franchise, live action Thrawn, I'm totally on board with it. I think it's going to happen anyway. I do agree. They're releasing more Thrawn novels. They've been building a lot of the book series around Thrawn. Timothy Zahn is heavily involved. I do think it's going to happen. The question just becomes, who's going to play him? That's something that I leave up to you guys. Although if I had to make a suggestion, I do think Jeremy Fleming would do a good job. I quite like Jeremy Fleming. Go look up his line of work. You guys might check him out. But anyway, that's what I want to say about that one. And let's go finally today. The Obi-Wan show is rumored to start production next month. Now we know that the show was supposedly pushed until the beginning of 2021. Ewan McGregor had said that it still would meet its release date of the end of 2021, but this is coming in from MakingStarWars.net. And Jason Ward, despite what you may think of the guy from some of his past controversies, is still far more credible on this sort of thing than people like Daniel Richtman. So this is what he says, that Kenobi to start production in SoCal next month, saying that Making Star Wars Hollywood sources have informed me that Disney Star Wars Kenobi is filming at the Train Yard location next month. These sources have been perfect in the past, so I take their information as very solid. Now, this lot in question is the location where The Mandalorian filmed its first 2 seasons' exterior shots. It's a safe assumption that the location will be used for the exterior shooting of Kenobi, with interiors at the Manhattan stage or Pinewood Studios. I also assume the location, which was used for Tatooine in The Mandalorian, will double as the desert planet here as well. The last time I was at the Train Yard, I saw a lot of storage still being held around the area. Of course, that storage has a lot of Tatooine materials from The Mandalorian, which can be reused in Star Wars Kenobi with a little fresh paint. That's actually very true. The sets for the Tatooine location are modular in that they can be connected and repainted in various combinations to make streets and cities seem vaster than they truly are. And that you have to love stagecraft in this situation. Never mind the actual stagecraft technology they're going to utilize for this, because that's awesome stuff. Now, he does go on to say here that while my highly trusted sources have said filming starts next month, it might mean the wheels start turning next month. The Mandalorian setups began in September and shooting started in October. So they might mean production starts next month. At this point, we don't know how much shooting will be conducted at the Southern California location. Deborah Chow, who is directing Kenobi shot Mando Episode 3, The Sin at the location, is very familiar with the space, but how much they're filming is still unknown to him at this time. And then, talking a bit here about Cassian Andor and everything else. But the truth of the matter is, any information on Kenobi is cool. Any information on Kenobi I'm okay with. Starting next month. So let's talk about that. So if Ewan McGregor had said that it's going to be starting in 2021 and they're starting it now or next month, what that means is they've taken the time during COVID, the time during quarantine and lockdown, to go and actually finish the scripts. The scripts are having problems. We heard about that. So they're finishing the scripts. And when they're finishing the scripts from there, they're going to take those out and then they're going to go into production and have all that stuff done. They've literally had months of sitting around just working on this stuff while Mando Season 2 was in post-production and Mando Season 3 is being written. So it just makes the most amount of sense that in the downtime to be able to take out those modular settings and to in that location, make it look like Tatooine, make it look like Obi-Wan is doing his stuff. They've already got most of the setups there they can reuse, and they already have the technology to make it look chef's kiss. I'm so excited for the Kenobi show. You guys have no idea. I'm so excited for the Kenobi show. I think it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see it. So that got me hyped up a little bit because I'm excited to see it. And I hope you guys are excited to see it. So I really want to hear you guys' thoughts about this as we wrap up the show. And that's actually what I've got to talk about today. There's a lot of stuff going on over the weekend. Tomorrow's might be a bit shorter of a day. I don't quite know. In the meantime, look, if you guys want to get in on the action, I would really appreciate it if you guys head over to facebook.com/groups/$3 Theater. A lot of the coordination and the chatter with you guys takes place over there because it's just easier than the noise that's on Twitter. And it's a good place to just talk and get things set up. So I would appreciate that. If you guys want to support the channel, you can become a channel member for as low as $1.99 a month. It's a great way to support it. You can go from there. There's also going to be the Patreon if you want to do the Patreon. Again, these are all optional. This is all optional. Nothing about this has to be done to stay involved in any Hollywood After Dark stuff, to be able to call on in at any point in time. No. Nothing's going to be behind a paywall. There might be some exclusive content occasionally that goes back there just for people, but nothing absolutely substantial. All the calls, all the live streams are all going to be open. And so that's just, if you guys want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. But I still want to make sure that everyone gets a fair amount of play. I don't want there to be, I don't want to play favorites. I want it to be fair. And that's the way I'm going about it. So if you want to support it, patreon.com/Matt Jarbo helps out quite a bit. All right, guys. So anyway, let me just bring this one up down here. I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everyone chiming in. Your comments, remember, there are timestamps. So if you've made it this far and you feel like you've wasted your time, read the goddamn video description. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day and peace out.